at 53 weeks in, you've already done Titanic, you've already done The Matrix, you've already done like the Bourne series. Like there was slim pickings left. So,
but we all know there's only two types of movies: Titanic and the Bourne series. So
yeah,
then it's slim pickings after that.
What's that movie? Is it a hit? Don't ask Elaine, 'cause she'll say I haven't seen it.
Welcome to the Haven't Seen It podcast. This is the podcast where we bring people on the show and we get them really drunk and they tell them about a movie that I've never seen before. I'm Elaine Kazak.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Sebastian.
And today... oh, fuck!
No! There was such an extended pause. You gave it to me. I thought I could talk.
I just like leaving it out there. I like leaving it out there and just seeing what happens.
This is my first podcast. I don't know what I'm doing.
Don't be sorry.
You know what? This is the best guest introduction ever. The best one. We've had a few that have like popped in when they're not supposed to, but this one I think was my fave.
I leaned in. And that's what I'm here to talk. This is what it's about. I'm ready to jump in with you guys.
Just lean in, Sheryl Sandberg. There you go.
Fuck it. Let's get into it.
We can't small talk, you and me, Alenka. We can't.
I won't allow it. No, I'll go into the other room until you're ready to talk about it. I'm sorry.
No. I'm ready. Don't leave.
Well, if you're curious out there listening, who you're hearing actor and theater maker and a one-man Guy Fieri, Sebastian Biasucci.
Hi. Okay, now I'm concerned. I'm like, I held back. I'm here. Hi. It's nice. It's so nice to be here.
Another.
Welcome to the show.
Great. This has been great. Thank you.
I'm happy to be here, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, we love having some loyal subjects in the house, as we've just discussed.
Oh man, we will discuss. Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, what movie are we talking about, Sebastian?
We're talking about Last Holiday, starring Queen Latifah.
Mm-hmm.
So ready.
The only queen, in our opinion, right?
Correct. Her Majesty.
Yeah. Apparently, yeah. There's so many. Can we elaborate on how she's the only queen? Like what's... Yeah, can we get right into it? What are we gonna do? Because I really need to know what sparked the inspiration.
Yeah.
For why I like Queen Latifah?
Yeah. And this movie.
Yeah.
So
and then
much,
later
apparently.
The movie.
Okay. I think what's not to like, first of all? I mean, started off as a rapper in the late 80s, early 90s, and then just has this amazing, like, she can do it all. Right now, she's currently on like a TV show, like remake of The Equalizer. She does action. She does comedy. Yeah. Which is actually, was another reason I thought that this would be interesting. Because she's got so this movie is a remake of like a 1950s movie. And then right now she's doing a reboot of The Equalizer. So I'm here,
which is like a fairly recent Denzel film, right?
Right, and then there's a version before Denzel did it too. Like he did a reboot, and then now it's a TV reboot. So I'm here to, I guess, this is my platitude, is that I don't want any more reboots. My one condition is, if you're going to do a reboot, it must star Queen Latifah. And that's for anyone who's listening who is rebooting movies, that's all that we want. Is if you're going to do it, you've got to fold in Queen Latifah. Yeah.
Just give me just one woman Queen Latifah Ghostbusters. That's it. Just Queen Latifah.
Oh.
Yeah, I like like Agatha Christie murder mysteries. No Queen Latifah. I'm trying. Like, what else would we want to see? She can sing too.
Star
Wars, all Queen Latifah.
Shit, you're right.
It would be great.
Oh, okay, I'm in.
She does animated movies. She does musical. She's an Oscar-nominated actress. So
she works hard.
Take that, Leo.
Hard-working queen. Works way harder than the other queen. The royal queen.
Yeah, we bitched about that last time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did.
I'll join you in. I mean, like, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II didn't have to work to get where to get that title.
Right?
Queen Latifah
Can
worked
we
in
just go off for a second? As usual, we hate royalty. Fuck you.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can partake in that. Like, I actually sometimes enjoy watching it. They're maybe I should.
Horrible people.
Correct. But there's something interesting about like them just being.
I guess it's like any reality TV
Okay,
show.
listeners, cancel him now. No.
No, don't say that because Gen Zs are nuts out there. Like, it'll happen.
Yeah,
that's like the worst
I want
curse
that
you can
edited
put
out
on
immediately.
someone.
I don't want to put your life in danger. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I guess it's that I prefer the content that gets created about them. Rather than I don't want to waste any more time talking about another queen when we could spend these valuable minutes.
Yes, well, I want to know. Latifah. I want to know like why this Latifah flick specifically, and why it you did say earlier that you watched it again today because you were bored.
Correct.
So tell me why.
So I was thinking about this, and I distinctly remember seeing the trailer for this movie while going to watch another movie, and like with my family, because this movie came out in 2006. So this puts Sebastian at 11 years old, going to the movies with his family, and I as the trailer went on, like called the twist in the movie and like leaned over to my dad and was like, I bet this happens. And I just distinctly remember that. So I think I like this movie because it made me feel really clever. Like, I'm like, I can think of twists the same way that like these big Hollywood like writers can. So I feel
right.
And then I don't know, this is, holiday is in the name. It doesn't really fall as a like Christmas movie, but it's usually on around then. And so it reminds me of that. This is also like Queen Latifah is in like every like scene and like every frame. So you're just getting bang for your buck there. So I like that movie because of that. And I don't know. I mean, I'll tell this story that's very embarrassing, but here in Toronto, like we've got the film festival, and like one tradition that me and my mom and my siblings have is we'd like go downtown and we'd do stargazing. So we'd like go like hang out outside the like the theaters and like see if we can catch a glimpse of everyone. And so I remember, I don't know what movie it was. It wasn't this one, but it was a movie that Queen Latifah was in, and we knew that for a fact. And we just waited outside like it was like 1 a.m. waiting for this like gala premiere to end. And I just like we were all so tired. I'm like sitting on like the sidewalk, and it just like just going like Queen Latifah, and just anyone that came out the door would just like scream that. And then it just went, and it just as the like hours went by, you're awing, but I don't think I was that young. So I think it's not very cute.
You're a 24-year-old man.
Yeah. Last September at the Toronto International Film Festival.
It just seems so precious.
Yeah. It's just, so my siblings still, like whenever she comes on TV or anything, my siblings will just go, Queen Latifah. Because it's just me like from a distance, like totally demoralized. And I don't think we ended up seeing her. So we just went home. It was a sad car ride back home.
Oh.
It was probably like the wrong theater too.
This is my favorite story.
It's just like Hugh Jackman comes out, and I'm just like, keep it moving. Like all these other celebrities,
keep
like
moving, Wolverine.
Yeah. So that's another reason.
Love
so
it.
this one is just one that we like hold on to. But I mean, I could have come on here, I guess, and like talked about what else. Taxi, like what are some other stellar. She's got a great canon of work.
Those are. Yeah. This is the one though. This is honestly, this is like one of the. Whenever I think of her, I think this movie, and I don't know if that's just because.
Why haven't I seen this then?
I don't know, but like this is like you said, Taxi, and for some reason I was thinking of fucking
Robert De Niro's
Taxi, but not Queen Latifah's
Taxi. As you should. Jimmy Fallon's one movie.
Mama.
But yeah,
that's the movie that I think of.
True.
Yeah. But I think that's like I was saying, like you guys are like 53 episodes in, like now you're entering the realm of like, I personally I've never talked about this movie to anyone. So this is really exciting for me outside my family. So, but I have no gauge. I don't know who's seen this movie, if this is a popular movie or, I'm just the only, like, so that's what's exciting about talking about this movie is like, it's fair that you haven't seen this, Alenka. Like no one can fault you for that, I think, unless we're watching like W Channel in December. Yeah.
This is the point of the podcast. We falter for all of these things.
Okay, fair enough.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Shit on it. It's fine. You guys want to know what I think?
I do. I definitely do.
Okay. So I looked up the movie poster. She wears a red dress. So that's definitely Christmas time. So big on Christmas. I also saw maybe a picture of her in like some homely, not like homely outfit, but I don't know. It could almost be like, I don't know. I'm so stressed. She works for a family or something. Maybe, yes. No, some big fat rich guy. And this big fat rich guy's like, yo, I need to avoid my family because I hate them. So I'm going to travel the world instead, but I need you to come with me. And she's like, okay. So they go to the places that are included in the drinks. And then turns out he's not really a big fat rich guy, and they fall in love because he's actually a sensitive guy. And even though he has a family, Queen Latifah's like, I can fix you. So I think that's what happens.
This is, I'm sorry, but this is just like a version of Pretty Women with Queen Latifah or something.
Which would be a reboot that I think they should do. Reboot that with...
They should.
There's another one
exactly.
to add to the list.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm not so great with certain plots. It's Christmas time. She goes traveling and she has a life experience of some kind. There's a twist, though, also.
Right. That basic thing that you just laid down, yes. The previous thing, not really at all. Nothing.
But there were some really buzzwords in there.
Nothing at all?
There were some buzzwords that will...
Definitely some keywords.
Yeah. What were the buzzwords?
Rich man.
Travel.
Knew it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
great.
Rich man travel.
You described the two. Okay. You described the two looks. So we'll talk about these two, sides to the Queen Latifah coin in this film.
Oh shit! Okay, I'm ready. Yes, I love a good makeover thing or whatever.
Well, you mentioned the drinks, traveling to the places of the drinks. So let me explain the drinks. So tonight, we're drinking actually 3 drinks if you chose to indulge, because this movie and these drinks are all about indulging. Don't have one, have 3. Get one of everything. Oh, because this is your last holiday.
Yeah, life's too short.
If you know what I mean.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, she's dying. Is she dying?
Well, we'll get to that, won't we? Won't we, Lenka? So,
I'm stressed out.
This drink, named after the character that Queen Latifah plays.
Oh, I know what's going to happen.
Is called George's Joint, and it is Czech beer.
I know what's going to happen.
So I got a little Pilsner Kel, French wine, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, as well as a Louisiana. No, it's a New Orleans Hurricane. But in Louisiana, New Orleans, which is rum, passionfruit juice, orange juice, grenadine, lime juice, some other stuff with topped with cherries or an orange slice or both. I did cherries on mine, but you can do whatever you want. What did you do, Sebastian? What did you choose?
So. I mean, now I just wish I made the cocktail because it sounds sweet and has a kick, just like Queen Latifah. But I went with, I've got a bottle of French red wine. I've got a Cabernet Sauvignon here. And the brand name was why I was drawn to it will refer to one of the characters that we will encounter. Oh. And then I also, have some Czech beer as well. So I guess we'll get into that. So I'm excited. I've got wine and I've got beer. And I'm excited.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
I haven't been doing a whole lot of drinking throughout this pandemic. So I got to look alive here. And so
that's the whole point.
Get excited.
Be alive in the beginning, and then by the end, whoever is still listening by the end will hear the slurs coming out of our mouth.
And I hope you do. Like, I hope you keep listening, because like if you haven't seen this movie, I hope you're listening, and if you have, I hope you still are, because you're gonna want after this. Like, we need this movie right now. That's another reason I picked it. This is
it was a fun movie.
I'm totally gonna watch this.
Good.
You should.
Is this on Netflix?
It is on Netflix.
Should we just turn this off and just have Alenka
up.
watch the movie? I think about this with all of the episodes. Why don't we just go watch it and enjoy it? We can't do it. I'm going to try and do it justice. I won't.
No, you have to do as much justice to get her to watch it.
You're going to convince me whether I'm... Yeah, exactly. Like, honestly, if I looked at this movie poster, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, it's not convincing enough.
I know.
We have to be. If every movie poster had our podcast attached to it and you had to listen to it to convince yourself to watch a movie, then more movies would be watched.
Right. Okay. Okay. So we will keep going. But I still want to make sure you watch it. I'm ready for my
life to be changed.
Yes, and it's about to be. Sebastian, how does this movie start?
So this movie opens on the voices of a gospel choir in a church in New Orleans, Louisiana. Nice. And we just see the faces of these parishioners, and they are singing their hearts out. And they're serving it up. This is a church that I would want to go to. But and then we cut to, so we've got these passionate faces, and then we cut to Queen Latifah, who's sort of towards the back, and she's like you described, right? Like she's wearing like a conservative knit sweater, and she's like by the back, and she's kind of just like barely got her like lips open, kind of singing, bop.
She's very unlike Queen Latifah, just very reserved and quiet, and not just not confident whatsoever.
Yeah, so I mean, you're like, what's going on here? Like, this is not it's not what I'm used to. This is
it's not what we signed up for.
Right.
Yeah.
And so much so that the like choir director is like, whoa, stops everyone from singing, and like calls Queen Latifah, who her character is Georgia. I'll sometimes say Georgia. I'll probably most likely just keep calling her Queen Latifah.
Georgia Bird. Georgia Bird with a Y.
Is like, hey, like Georgia, like,
nice.
This old lady next to you like just got her tonsils out, and she's like singing 3 times as loud as you. Like, what the heck? Like, calls her out, and everyone's like, "Yup." And she's like, "Oh, like, I'm sorry." So, he goes, "Well, look, because it's just practice. It's not actually like church service, so he doesn't call her out in front of like all the congregation." But
okay, sure.
That would be fun. That would be great. If like every church you went to, it's just like the choir boy didn't sing loud enough.
Yeah, like God's upset with you, like, and
get a whooping.
Let's all chastise this boy, crowd. Come on.
Right. Yeah. So he's like, but look, on Sunday, our senator's coming, and everyone hopefully will be singing at their full voices. So then it just cuts to her heading home. So that's how it opens.
Not to split hairs, but it's the congressman who's coming, right? I don't know. There's a senator and there's a congressman. The congressman is coming. The
senator is coming.
What? The senator is coming?
Yes.
No, really?
Yes. There is a senator and there is a congressman, but later she talks to the Senate. We'll get to this.
No, what? I thought
the listeners are going nuts right
now. What's lower? Congressman or senator? I thought Congress. The Senate is higher.
The Senate is higher. That's why it's a real big honor.
But who we're talking about, I don't want to say his name yet because I was very surprised to see him when he showed up. Was a congressman. Was lower. Was New Orleans or was Louisiana's congressman or their elected representative in New Orleans. The senator represents the state.
I know. Okay, so maybe I really did.
Were they both coming? I think it was just the.
It was just the one guy. Now I'm embarrassed.
So it was the congressman.
I thought he was the. I thought this whole time he's the senator because they see she. Okay. We'll get to that scene and maybe we'll be able to figure it out. I think I just got
too into American politics over the last year, so that's why.
It makes sense that it would be the congressman because he's coming to a local community, but...
Exactly.
All right.
Well, yeah, we kind of cut at this point. We cut to
way to just call him out, by the way, and
sorry,
chastise him in front of our
Exactly.
whole
Yeah.
audience.
Everyone's just screaming fake fan as they listen to this on their walks. Like,
I'm calling out this choir boy. All right.
yeah, now I know. Thanks for making me feel like George Bird at the back of the choir. Okay, moving on. No one wants to hear me commiserate.
Now we're at
You're
the mall,
trash.
right? We cut to the mall. We get to the mall at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Her job.
No. So she goes home and
this is home first.
So
yeah.
she has a neighbor, a young boy named Darius, who she's like, "Hey, I'm just coming home. Like, come back in an hour, and she'll make dinner for him." So he comes over, and she's cooking along, like watching the Food Network, like she's watching.
Yeah, and they talk about how like she has a car there. And there's no bullet holes in the car because they live in a rough neighborhood where there's a lot of shootings.
Yeah.
So, we see she also just lives in a really rundown neighborhood, which is kind of important. It's part of why she's so great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she's watching the Food Network. I think there's another reason I like this movie is because there's just so much food, and we can talk about that.
Yeah.
You can't watch this on an empty stomach, but so she's watching along. So she's watching along to like Emeril Lagasse. Do you know Emeril, Alenka? Like the guy goes bam.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's cooking along with him, and she makes like this meal, and she's feeding it to her neighbor Darius, and he's like, "Aren't you gonna like come join?" She's like, "Oh no."
So cute.
Yeah, but she's like, "Oh no. Like I just have my lean cuisines. I don't ever cook the food. I don't ever eat the food that I make. I just take a picture of it," and she puts it in a scrapbook.
Yeah, called Possibilities.
So she's having, I know. So you're immediately in love with this person. So they're having dinner. She's having her lean cuisine. She spills her lean cuisine on her, and she goes into the other room, and Darius goes and grabs this Possibilities book and is like, "What the heck is this?" And opens it up, and it's got these like pamphlets for these hotels in Europe. It's got like these wedding photos. And then there's a photo of like a couple in like wedding attire. And it's got like, she's like cut out a picture of her face and then a picture of LL Cool J's face and glued them on to this couple. And she comes in.
And now, if you didn't know anything about this movie, you would think, "Oh, she wants to marry LL Cool J." Turns out LL Cool J plays a character in this movie. So that just makes the scrapbook a little creepy, to be honest.
Okay. Sure.
Correct. And you're just, I think it's just great. Like they picked also just like two like 90s like rap legends. If you watch if you even look at the poster and you see Queen and LL Cool J, you're like, "Oh, these are two rival rappers from 1990 getting like together in formal attire to like I don't know what." But anyway, that's not what this movie is about. I would see that movie, but
no, Ice Cube has been an actor for a while, but I feel like, was this pre? Are we there yet? Sort of. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that line of like Ice Cube is now in these kind of either family or comedy movies that are kind of like, what's the word? Cushy. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. This is like 2006. Like I don't know what LL Cool J's IMDb page even is. Like, what is he?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Anyway, where were we? So
it's such a weird trajectory of 90s hardcore rapper to family friendly comedies.
Yeah. And then they can just be adored by like people who like each, and then people who like both. And that's what's great about it.
Yeah. Right.
So Darius, the neighbor, is like, "What the heck is this?" And she's like, "Oh, this is just like, exactly what it says on the cover. It's just possibilities, like things that may like, and then I know. And then, so then cut to.
Oh, there's also, you do see a picture also of Gerard Depardieu, the actor, but he's a chef in this movie. Picture of him. He's like a famous chef. And I think this hotel, and you do see Czechoslovakia, like it's in Czechoslovakia. It's the hotel that he's the head chef at.
Correct.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but at that point, if you're just watching it, you're like, I don't know what all these details are. This just sounds like a nice trip.
Sure.
But as luck would have it for her later, her possibilities might just become realities. So then we find out that Queen Latifah works in like a department store, sort of like a Sears or like the Bay. So this also had some like nostalgia.
But way bigger.
Yeah.
It's like gigantic.
Right.
That was kind of what blew me away.
Macy's?
Yeah, it looks-
Macy's, yeah.
That's so embarrassing. Cut that. Cut that.
No, I'm not cutting that. It's not. It's a Marcy's.
Fuck.
It's because when I watch it, I like, oh, she works in a mall, but no, it's just a giant department store with many escalators, and I just even in Toronto, I feel like we don't see much of that. That's definitely a United States.
Yeah, the closest thing would be that like Queen
Marcy's.
Street Bay, like that. I don't even is it even open
I
anymore?
guess so.
Like there's been drama around that, but
Probably not.
I know. So
Let's talk local Toronto drama. Okay.
so she's there with her coworker. She's walking in to start her job, and then she encounters LL Cool J. His character's name is Sean, and they like, you know, strike like they say hi to each other, and her coworker is like, "Damn!" Like I think she even goes to so much to say, "You could crack a walnut with his ass." So
but he's wearing some pretty baggy, like, what are they, like
khakis? Yeah.
And you're like,
can tell.
you can't see an ass in those pants.
Yeah, like,
No, you can tell.
But she knows.
So that's what it makes you realize. Oh, like they're just like on a like saying hi to each other in the hallways way. They're not like, this isn't like she's making a scrapbook because they're dating and they're going to get married eventually, and she's like making a wedding, you know, scrapbook for them, like planning their wedding. Like they barely get to. They're so shy around each other. And she actually goes into his department and kind of tries to, like, he's putting together like a barbecue, like he's, I guess, in that section of the department store, and is trying to, you know, she's just asking him questions. Like it kind of gets like steamy a little bit because she's like, yeah, how would you like, you know, clean this barbecue? And she's like, oh, you know, you just like hose it down. And she's like, oh, hose it down. Like it's just like very like, I'm like, if I was like shopping beside them, I'd be like, whoa,
give me a hose.
Like get together already. Get her
Wow.
Yeah. So, but then she just ends up buying a grill. She can't get up the nerve to like ask him out. She just like, he's like, I just sold you a barbecue last week. And she's like, oh yeah.
I just sold you a hibachi. And she's like, no, that's indoors. I need an outdoor one.
Oh, she's
the grill
me.
man. Yeah.
So she's like so they have that little meet cute, and then they, you know, she's in like the cookware department. That's her domain. And so we've seen her at this point, like super shy and like her and timid, but now she's doing like a cooking demonstration. There's a bunch of people around her, like sort of like a, you know, at Costco, like when they give out samples and
the
like
blue hairs.
Yeah. So,
yes.
So, and she's just like in her element. Like she knows like who, like she left out pine nuts for one lady because it gets underneath her dentures. Like she's like, you know, this is like, she's in her element. And then her manager comes over and is like, what are you doing? Quit feeding the moochers. And she's like, look, Craigan, like who's like the guy, this is the department store. It's not Bay or Sears. It's Craigan department store, is like, look, like this is not okay anymore.
Yeah.
Like we're not doing these demos anymore. So she's like putting together all her. Sorry, am I going too far ahead, Will? You want to like?
No, this is great.
I feel like we got to like get to the action. Like I'm trying to get us to the excitement.
Is like the guy who plays this boss is perfect. It's like you hate this fucking dude. The moment you lay eyes on him, the casting is perfect because he just has that.
What's he look like?
You know. I don't know.
He looks like a dollar store Conan O'Brien.
Yeah. Or like young, like evil looking Mark McKinney or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yikes. Okay.
Because Mark McKinney looks like, you know, fun and like, oh, you'd like to hang out with him. But this guy looks like, oh, I don't like this guy.
Like right off the
At
bat.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it really took me back to like just working in any like customer service situation.
Retail.
Yeah.
But this guy is all about Craigan, and he's just like, you know, Craigan says this.
Yeah.
This is how you be successful. It's all about, you know, sales, whatever it is. He's just all about like sales, and you know, making money basically.
So she's putting like, you know, all the
not giving freebies.
Yeah, not at all. Like quit feeding the moochers. So she's putting you know, away all this like delicious food inside these Tupperwares, and then Sean comes up and is like, hey, like I I just had to come up here because the smells were like wafting down the escalators.
Yeah, floats up Looney Tune style, just with his nose.
Cute.
You can smell it.
Yeah, and just, you know, you learn that he's like, and she offers him some food, and he's just like, you know, it's like love at first bite. Ooh, that's what I would call it.
Ooh,
and so
there you go. Yeah, exactly.
So he's like, oh, you must be like, you know, a well-trained chef. And she's like, oh no, like, you know, I haven't trained. This is just something I like to do. Like, he's like, oh, you're going to open up a restaurant one day. She's like, I don't know, maybe someday. And, I know it's like, so it's so sweet. And then he's like, then getting the courage to like, go to like, I guess, ask her out. And then,
because he's also kind of timid, shy. Yeah.
She like knocks over a spoon and bends down to pick it up. I don't know why I'm building the suspense so much, but this is like the like big moment. So he's about to ask her out, and then a spoon falls, and she bends over to pick it up, and she stands up, and there was an open cupboard in the cookware department and just bangs it off the back of her head. The most like, this has got to be one of the most like intense head bashings of cinema history. Like
2006. Yeah.
I have to close my eyes when this part happens. It's like, so like just the sound effect that they pick and immediately collapses into LL Cool J's arms, like out cold. So, yeah, it's so like, it comes out of nowhere. And so cut to like LL Cool J like carrying Queen Latifah through the department store. And what's crazy about this department store, as Will was saying, it's ginormous. They also have like a clinic, like they have like a built-in clinic. So
wow.
Oh yeah, it's like a full like, not like they have machines in there. It's a huge like it is a something that I just have never seen before. I was very amazed by this.
Yeah, I was like,
I don't know why that stuck out, but I'm like, there's a hospital in here too.
Yeah, it was very strange. And like up pops the manager, who's like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, she's fine. Like she's literally like unconscious and like over LL Cool J's like shoulders, and he's like, oh, like it's just a bump. Like, come on. And so the doctor is like, I think we should get her a CAT scan immediately.
Yeah.
And the manager's like, I don't think that's necessary. That seems like a big ticket item. And he's like, oh no, we just got this new machine. Well, he's like, it's new to us, this gently used CAT scan.
Very used machine. Yeah.
Look, we don't want a workers' comp situation. So let's get her in a CAT scan as like she comes to. And it's just like, I'll throw this in here. Like, if you're still on the fence of whether you want to watch this movie, Queen Latifah, like as she's like coming to, just sees like there's a sequence of her just like watching LL Cool J like strip in this like department store hospital to Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye. But then it's just exactly.
What?
Yeah, just so that's the only dream sequence we get, but it's worthwhile, I guess. Okay. And so they put her in the CAT scan, and they run the tests, and they come out, and the doctor's like, oh no.
There's a dark spot.
Yeah. And
so he's like, let's do one more just in case. Do one more. Still there. And his doctor, he has a hard time telling her what it is and what's going on.
Yeah, like like imagine like you're in a department store like clinic. Like, what if you someone's like, you know,
he's
cut
a
themselves
department store doctor.
What are the injuries that you'd see there, right? So this is you know, he's a bit out of his depths, and you know, Queen Latifah's like trying to get answers. Like, this is where we see her like a little bit more assertive, like just like, can you tell me what's going on? And he's like, I need to sit down. I'm going to faint. So they go to a second doctor. So the doctor from the clinic and Queen Latifah go see get a second opinion, as I would if I was in this situation. And the doctor's looking at the scans. We learned that it's the same scans. Like, they haven't done any more tests. He's just like referencing, and he's like, oh yeah, this is you got something called Lampington's lesions, and it was a virus that turned to be like made you grow these like tumors. Yeah. And she's like, okay, well, like, what does this mean? And the prognosis, the diagnosis is that she's got like 3 weeks to live.
Unless,
Come on.
and this is kind of one of those little, they insert it, unless she can get like treatment for it, but her HMO plan doesn't cover that. And it's just like,
Okay.
it's like a $250,000 procedure. And, you know,
Yeah, and that's not
she
even
doesn't have.
Yeah, it's like like
that kind of
300 and like
insurance.
something $1,000 without anesthesia, and her like insurance person's like, you're gonna want anesthesia, and she's like, yeah.
For brain surgery. Yeah.
So she's like walking out of there like completely demoralized. She's like, well, like this is a death sentence.
Whoa.
And cut to her in church that Sunday, the Sunday that the congressman or senator is supposed to be at.
It's fucking congressman. I told you it's fucking congressman.
Okay.
Okay.
Is supposed to be there, and you know the choir is singing and Queen Latifah is in the back, and at one point as the choir is singing, she's just like, why, Lord? And everyone like turns to her and is like, yeah, because the reverend has just announced that like that congressman is not going to be able to make it. So everyone thinks that she's saying like, why, Lord, why isn't he coming? But she's obviously talking about like, why is this happening to me? So she just goes on this like basically solo, and everyone's echoing what she's singing, and everyone is like up on their feet.
It's a real surreal experience. It's very fun.
Like she's just speaking up.
sad.
She's like speaking up to the heavens. Like, why is this happening to me? Like, I never slept around. I never like cussed out anyone.
Right.
Why is this happening to me? And everyone is like echoing her, and like everyone's up on their feet dancing, and she just like sings straight and walks out of the church. Like you can see the look on her face, like she's gonna, something has changed for her. Like she's gonna take action. Like she's like, you know, she's ready to make some moves, I guess.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay. I did go look. I am wrong.
Oh,
I've seen this movie like at least it's been 16 years old. I've seen it at least 16 times.
The senator was coming to
I
the church.
love when Will is
the
wrong.
Congressman is something else. I was wrong. I admit fault on that one.
There's a lot of people
Thanks for
listening
being
who are
a
like,
piece of
yeah.
trash.
They're fucking screaming like, it was a senator. He's a senator.
Yeah, like if Alenka's going to watch these movies, she needs the facts.
I need the facts, Will.
She needs that background info. It's very important.
I know. I love that there's like a political, like you might be thinking, we're talking a lot about senators and congressmen. Like, is this a political thriller?
There's an edge
there
to
is an
it,
edge.
though. Like,
yeah.
I love that they drop those things. They drop all these little things just for fucking like flavor and for like, we're going to talk about issues, but not really. Like, you know, they drop there's no bullet holes in her car and she lives in a rundown neighborhood. They drop the congressman and the senator. They drop the fact that she can't get coverage under her plan and that she works at a department store and is for a shitty manager. They drop all these little things that we're like, yes.
And I think that's like,
fight for it.
Absolutely. And I think that's what like a reason why this movie is like interesting, because especially in terms of like genre bending, like from what we've described so far, like her and like LL Cool J, like you're like, oh, this is like standard like 2000s rom-com, but like it kind of like cracks that mold very quickly. Like, you know, so far we've talked a lot about this like, you know, romantic relationship, but like this is really a story of, you know, Queen Latifah's character Georgia. So make no mistake here with like what we're talking about. Like romance is part of it, but but it's not the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah. So she's on the quest now. She's ready to do something.
Yeah.
So
and the first thing she does is she goes in and she's like, I'm going to quit my job. And she goes into that douche manager's office and he's listening to audiobooks of this guy, Craigan. Like,
so this guy, Craigan, from the top with the books and stuff, you can see him. He's like a Jeff Bezos he's more like an Elon Musk type, just kind of like, you know, like I'm the best, like I'm going to tell you how to live life.
Yeah, enough. Like he's like the points of success. Like I think he has, like he's clearly in his like 40s and his book is like Hip, Young and Rich. Like it's just like, why is that his title? He's like, he's hip and he's not hip and he's not young. He's just rich. But anyway,
Just one of the
Right.
three.
So she's like ready to like talk to him super politely, and then the phone starts ringing, and she's like, please don't pick that up. Like, I've got something important. He like picks up his little 2006 like phone and like takes the call.
Nice.
And she just like, he hangs up and she like smashes the phone, and she
With her shoe.
Yeah. And he's like, that's coming out of your like paycheck. And she's like, take the whole paycheck. And she like takes the CD out of his like CD player for the audiobook, like breaks that in half, and is like, I quit. And he's like, you can't do that. Your like section is like the best in the company. Like, your like cookware department, like, we're having a terrible fourth quarter. Like, we
You have
need
the
you.
highest sales. Yeah.
And she's like, well, why didn't you tell me that before? And he's
I'll
like, well,
fucking treat her better.
yeah. But he admits, he's like, the only reason I didn't tell you that is because like, I thought you'd be doing exactly what you're doing right now and quitting. So like, she's like, I'm out of here. And he's like, I'll pay you.
Well, yeah, he specifically was like, I didn't tell you because I didn't want to be strong armed for more money, which I'd be willing to give you, but I didn't want you to know you
And he
were
gives her, he's like
valued,
75
which is
cents
so
more an
fun.
hour.
What a
Yeah.
And he's like, she's like leaving the store,
Nice.
and he's on the intercom, and she's just like leaving the department store, and she's like, $1 more an hour, $1.10 an hour, more an hour. So she gets out of there. So that's the first thing she does. And
wow.
Yeah. Sean catches up to her when she leaves, and he's like, hey, I've got these Hornets ticket. Hornets?
yes.
Yeah. Hornets tickets, the basketball team. I wanna bring you, the game's in 2 weeks. I think it is a few weeks. And she's like, I really want to go, like, everything in the world, but I can't. And then he's just like, well,
Wait,
already
it's in
paid for
2
them,
weeks
so
though. Did he say what? 2 weeks?
he said like a few weeks.
Yeah.
He said like a few
Oh.
weeks. It doesn't really matter.
She
She's
might
gonna
make it.
I mean, you would imagine if she's on her like last 3 weeks, the last week is going to be pretty fucking rough if she's
No,
dying.
you're right.
Yeah. I know. I thought
mean, you
about that
don't
too.
know.
I'm like, maybe there, but no, I think she even like
Yeah.
looks at the ticket and she's like, this sounds awesome. And she's like, I'd love to go, but he's like, you got somewhere
Yeah.
else to be. And she's like, something like that. And it's just so like, they finally
Oh.
got to the point where he could ask her out, and like, it's not, and he even says, he's like,
It's too late.
if your plans change, I already pay for the ticket. Here you go. And
Yeah, keep it.
Yeah.
she's just like, gosh, like she just keeps, the running thing is that she like looks up to the heavens and like kind of has this conversation of like, why is this like really, like this kind of like tongue in cheek, like looks up.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then so the next thing she does, she goes to the bank and she has like a bunch of bonds, I guess, that her mother left her, which I guess are stocks. I don't know what bonds are really. Do you know
Okay.
what bonds are,
I don't
Sebastian?
know either.
Absolutely no con, and especially at 11 years old, I'm just like, she's taking out, she's taking out all her money, and he's like, oh
Yeah, all her life savings
Yeah.
in the bonds
Right.
is liquidating everything that she owns to cash.
Die hard.
Because she's going to spend it all.
yeah. She tells the guy, she's like, I'm gonna blow
Good.
it. And immediately she like books herself a trip.
Yeah, to Karlovy Vary in the Czech Republic.
Nice. I don't even know where that is.
It looks beautiful. There's
Doing
a
my
big
father a
hotel.
dishonor.
Well, yes. Actually, let's get into this real quick. So she's going to the Czech Republic. Spoilers. That's where she's going, to this big hotel where, as I said before, Gerard Depardieu works and is the head chef, and she's always wanted to like eat his
Oh,
food.
that's why she's going there.
She's going there. Alenka, you have a big connection to Czech.
I mean, I have a dad that was born there. That's the
Yeah.
big connection.
There's your big connection. There you go.
Have you been
So you were
yourself?
very
Is that,
excited to
that's
hear
all you
about
want to talk about? No, not yet.
Well, watch this
No.
movie and you'll be like, this
No,
is exactly
no.
the destination I'm going. Like, I'm going here.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. I can't wait to debrief about how I'm over life, and not that's very grotesque. Not
I'm over.
I can't wait to debrief. Can't wait to debrief on the sense to just YOLO, and we'll talk more about that later. So yeah, check
All
on
right.
the list.
There we go.
Absolutely. Yeah. I actually wrote down, I'm like, talk about YOLO, because that is
Yeah.
this is ahead of its time in terms of Drake's philosophy. So
True.
Mm.
So she's on
Take that, Drake.
she's on the plane.
Oh yeah, you want to go deep. Trip. You want to go scene by location by location. Well, I'm here for it. Well,
it's a fun scene. Yeah, it's a fun scene. She's on the plane.
It's very relatable.
She's in economy. She like this is also she gets the bonds. Obviously, they don't tell us how much it is,
and it's a burning question. I've always wondered how much money it is. Yeah,
because it seems like a lot throughout the movie, and you'd think if it were that much. Considering the rest of the movie,
why didn't she take some out before
that she would get? Yeah, maybe.
But this is the big like. So when she's I'll give this example, and this is why I think also it's great to be drinking wine because wine is motif, and this is a good example of the type of person that she is. When she's watching Emerald cook, he goes all right, you're gonna add a splash of wine, and instead of a splash, it's like a whole bunch of wine. And you see Georgia put she barely tips the bottle over to put some wine in there. She's very holding it close to the chest and not taking not so much as cooking. She's not even going to eat that food, but she's literally just being. Which reminds me, I'm going to pour a big splash of wine in my glass, but
splash it up.
But yeah, that is the motif. Is it's just a little bit. Don't take more than you need.
Not a risk taker.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's don't indulge. Either don't indulge or just wine's expensive. Let's not use it all sort of thing. You can read it both ways, but it's
she coupons. So you learn that as well. That's the type of person she is. Yeah. So she's on the plane and there is a guy fully leaned back, a big guy leaned up.
Because she's an economy, and you're why not immediately buy?
Right, which someone literally asks her. So
first class,
so she's kicking back on his seat, and the guy in front flags the stewardess, and is this person's kicking the back of my seat, and the flight attendant talks to her, and she's got a little sip of her cocktail, and she takes a sip, and she's look, this airline, and she's talking loud enough for everyone to hear, this airline tried to save, make more money by cramming all these seats together. And everyone's yeah. And, the whole cabin is turning on this flight crew. And the guy's look, if you, if you wanted more space, you could have upgraded to one of our cocoons in first class. This is one of my favorite lines. So one of our cocoons. And she's
cocoons.
How much? And he's sorry? And she's how much for the damn cocoon? And cut to her in first class in the cocoon. They're wheeling an entire turkey through the aisles. She's drinking champagne and having shrimp cocktail. And so begins the
Stunning.
treat yourself,
fucking good life.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that possible? I always wonder, is that possible to upgrade mid-flight?
Mid-flight? Maybe.
There
might be more openings.
Debit, all right, here you go.
Yeah. Do you want headphones or do you want a full
that's a great
turkey?
question. I don't know.
Yeah. I always wonder because I don't think this is the only movie that has a scene like that where someone's in economy and then gets upgraded by paying for it.
They can't just make that shit up.
First class in the same flight. I'm I don't know. They have a flight log that they have to change the black box, all that shit. That seems like a lot of,
Okay,
that's
so
a deep dive,
your disbelief.
I really, because then it cuts to she's there. She's in the Czech Republic and it's snowy and it's beautiful. And she's outside the airport and there's a big lineup for cabs. And she's I don't want to wait in this line. She sees a sign for a helicopter and she's screw it. I don't have I'm running on borrowed time right now. She helicopters to the hotel.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fucking wicked.
That's showing how much money does she have? Economy ticket in the beginning, but maybe that's just her progression. It's her progression of, of how much she's willing to spend more and more and more.
The realization that she's I truly don't give a fuck anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. What's also great about this movie, it's got tons of montages. If you like montages, you'll like this movie. There's a whole bunch of them. There's food montages. There's spa montages. Lots of treat yourself montages. So,
I'm ready for this.
She's flying. She lands on the hotel, but then this is the first glimpse you get to see of the congressman and the senator. The congressman, a white man, played by I don't know this actor really. Michael Nori. I've seen him before though.
Yeah, he's got a very much of that guy kind of face.
Yeah. And then the senator is played by Giancarlo Esposito, who is, the main bad guy in Breaking Bad. And I was just not expecting him whatsoever. And in fact, because you don't know that these are characters yet, they like look at the helicopter like, oh, I wonder who that is, and that's it. But like that's the only flash forward. I was like, is he just like a side?
Yeah, like he was just in the Czech Republic at the hotel when they were shooting it, and they had him be an extra. Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And we haven't even mentioned yet. So the hotels, to Georgia and to all of us, the hotel at this point is the Grand Hotel Pupp, Pupp. I think she says the Pupp or something. And she like enters the hotel, and it's like very much like if they were to like do cartoon characters of like world dignitaries, like everyone's in like kind of costumes and garbs of like very international. It's very like on the nose, just like, hi, we have one of everyone very clearly. So she like goes to the front desk, and she's like, the person at the front desk is like, welcome to the Grand Hotel Poop. And Queen Latifah's like, really? That's what it's called? So it's called the Hotel Poop. So if you were on the fence again, there are poop jokes in this movie. There are montages, and there's Queen Latifah. And to me, that's the trifecta. So I hope you're all in, Alenka, on this film.
I'm ready.
We can end it here, and you can just go watch it. I'll give you outs as we go along.
No,
take the exit.
I want the story first.
She wants
then the visual.
I know. So go ahead, Will. Speed this along for me. I don't want to like take up to.
Yeah. Well, so she signs in the hotel, but this is our first introduction to a few characters. We see the senator and the congressman outside, but then this is where we finally see in person Craigan, the millionaire or billionaire, illionaire guy who owns the department store she worked at, who owns like this, the company, who's this playboy guy with his not wife, but his employee, his lover.
Exactly. Yeah. His colleague and mistress. Miss Burns. They don't even give us I looked it on the IMDb. They don't even give us a first name for this character.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
nice.
Bad.
Yeah, that's 2006, I guess, for us. But go figure. Like, imagine like you're an Amazon like fulfillment employee. You quit your job, you go to a hotel, and then you see Jeff Bezos in the lobby, and that's what this movie is. Like her boss.
Right. He's clearly cheating on his wife, and you're like, I'm going to take pictures of this.
Yeah, and immediately he's like, you hear a conversation between Craigan and Miss Burns. Like, he's like, look, all right, we got the room. We got to schmooze the senator and the congressman because we got to make this like big deal happen. So for context, you become aware that like Craigan has brought the congressman and the senator on this trip to like solidify some sort of deal
on his dime.
Yes, on his dime, on his jet, and kind of goes, all right, I'll see you upstairs. Wear something silky. And Queen Latifah's like looking from across. She's just out, and Queen Latifah's just like, because she got there by helicopter, she's early, so she upgrades to like the $4,000 a night penthouse
presidential suite.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
So immediately, even like the hotel like manager is like, who is this person? Like everyone's kind of like, she landed on a helicopter. Like the senator sees the helicopter and is like, who's this person? Like everyone's like aware of Queen Latifah's like entrance. Like she must be a big shot. And she even like walks by Miss Burns, like after she's like kind of dumbfounded that Craigan's been like, wear something silky. And she's like, don't worry, he's going to have a shitty fourth quarter, because that's what she heard her manager say back at the department store. So even Miss Burns is like, who the hell is this person? Like everyone's kind of like, who is Queen Latifah? As you would if you were in the hotel. You're like, oh my God.
Right.
Oh yeah. And honestly, I'm just like, there's more connections to Pretty Woman with this, because she goes across the street from the hotel and buys like a whole new wardrobe. There's a fashion montage where she's just trying on all these different outfits. Make me European, she says.
Yes, and it's to Gwen Stefani.
Cute.
It's like, what's that song? Like na 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 na.
Oh.
That song.
Yeah.
And if I was a rich girl, na 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 na.
Right.
So, and you guys talked about this on your like Big Fat Greek Wedding episode, where it's like the makeover, like montage or transformation that is like instigated by the strong female lead. Like, great. Like, that's what we want when we see these things in movies, not like any other way. So she's like, I'm here. I'm ready to blow this money. She gets a whole new wardrobe. And she comes into the restaurant of the Grand Hotel Poop, and she's looking stunning. She's wearing that red dress, right, Will, from the poster? That's what she's like.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Which is why our drinks are red. Totally did that on purpose.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't.
Yes. Yeah, she walks in, and also the chef, it's Chef Didier, who that's who she wants to eat from. She has her own table. She sits there, and Craigan and Miss Burns and the senator and congressman and the Senate and the congressman's wife, they're all at a separate table. But they're noticing her too, because everyone's like, who is this woman with all the money?
And then she does what is to me the most like baller thing, the thing that I've always wanted to do. So the server comes over and like reads all the specials, and they all sound amazing. And she's like, wow, this sounds great. Like, is he going to do the same specials tomorrow? And he's like, oh, Chef Didier never does the same specials twice. And she's like, well, then I'll order them all. And he's like, all toot. This is my favorite part. And then she goes, toot, baby, give me all of them. And she like, oh, and something that's also like, I've worked in restaurants a long time. I don't know about you guys, but the other table of Craigan and everyone are like, their order is just full of substitutions. They just like
no dairy, no meat, no gluten, nothing, just like no butter, whatever.
So you lose exactly, and you get a shot of like Chef Didier.
Although that's me nowadays.
Oh no, that's okay. If it's for dietary restrictions, fine. But you can tell with these people, it's not.
That's why. Yeah, they're just picky.
Yeah, so you literally get Chef Didier get the orders, and he's just like, these people like. He's just like so disappointed. And actually, the wine that I got specifically is a Gerard winery. It's a French wine. So this is my toast to Gerard Depardieu, the most French human being.
Homage.
Yeah, the most French person alive.
When I think of France, I think of the Revolution and Gerard Depardieu.
Correct. Yeah. So, and then he sees like, oh, I didn't know there was a table for 6, and he was like, oh no, this is all one person. It's all Queen Latifah. So he's like amazed. He's like immediately in love with this woman who ordered this food.
Yeah, he's like, I'll do it myself. Yeah. I'll do, I'll do some of these dishes myself.
And then he comes out into the dining room and like sits with her. And
because we see a scene where like Craigan is like calls over the waiter or something. He's like, hey, because the wife of the senator or the congressman would love to meet Chef Didier. So Craigan's like, yeah, like have the chef come out to us afterwards. So
this is another thing I love about This is another thing I love about this movie is that like the congressman's wife like only gets one line in this movie. It's a great line. It comes later. We can talk about it, but she doesn't speak at all. She just gives like blank looks to Matthew Craigan that say a lot because he's just an asshole. So
love it.
But typical congressman's wife.
Yeah. So Didier comes out and they think he's coming to see like the senator and everyone, but he beelines it to Queen Latifah, sits down at the table and like talks to her, and they have like she talks about Louisiana barbecue and kind of like, you would love this, and they're trading like, food secrets and whatnot. And Craigan is just like, please, can you like, I called you over. Why aren't you coming? You're making a fool out of me in front of these government people. Exactly. Yeah. And then this sort of like also begins this thing of like baby, where like Queen Latifah like gets this entire staff like under her spell. Like everyone sort of like one by one, like whether it's like the bellman or like the desk person, like start to like kind of fall in love with her. They're like, who is this person? And this sort of like Chef Didier is one of those people who like begins to like, fall for her. And she kind of is shedding this like nervous skin where, she's meeting people she always wanted to meet. And she's like this, she's like, if they're all thinking she's some rich benefactor, she's like the Richard Branson or something. Some, the person who's just like out there doing everything and taking risks. Yeah. And they start finding out like, oh, she's also from Louisiana, but the senator doesn't know who she is, and Craigan thinks maybe he's lying about that. Like it becomes this like guessing game for them of like who actually knows her, and like they're trying to place, you know, how did she know that he was going to have a shitty fourth quarter? She only knows that because she found out that her cookware department in one store was doing well, right? So like
right.
So it becomes this thing of like, how does, and then flip back this, I think at this point we cut back to Louisiana, where Sean like is like hasn't seen Georgia at work, so he goes into the clinic and it like confronts a doctor and is like, what's going on? And he learns that about the diagnosis, and he finds out at this point too that she's going to die. So he's like, oh gosh. So that's all, we get a taste of that. And then we
just a little taste.
And then we like, we jump back to like, she's like now doing like,
at this point, the rest of the movie is very montagey, very like there's some pivotal scenes mostly to do with like the congressman and the senator and all that and Craigan, but it's just kind of,
it's just hanging out with Queen Latifah. Some of these. It's just like,
like Queen Latifah just like impressing all the staff and just doing everything, indulging in everything, which is why I made 3 drinks. Just indulge. Just get everything you can get.
And it like mirrors this like thing at the beginning of like all the people in the church kind of being like disappointed that like her voice, like she's like singing quietly, like they all kind of give her a look, to her just getting like applause from people. Like there's one scene where she's like takes snowboarding lessons and like immediately like loses control. And then it's just like a crazy snowboarding sequence of like, I guess part Queen Latifah, part a stunt double doing snowboarding tricks. And then Craigan, who's like
she can't control herself, but she never falls once. She's like goes down like the hardest hill, and Craigan is like, no one out skis me or some shit.
Yeah,
tries to like chase after her.
Wow.
They're like neck and neck chasing each other, and like she like ends up on his skis. They're like tossing around, and then she ends up like landing this like insane landing like off a like little chateau, and Craigan like ends up in a snowbank.
Great stunt double work because the stunt double is literally flailing their arms the whole time and like off balance, but can still like snowboard properly the whole time.
And the whole time when I'm watching that scene, I'm just picturing like Queen Latifah in a recording studio being like, "Wow!" like just like screaming me into like just like doing scream sound effects, like whoa, 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 whoa. And then like she does this crazy landing off like a building onto like all this like like food that's on a table, and everyone's like cheering for her, and she like ends up on like a snowboarding magazine. Like it just goes from 0 to 100 with like these experiences, and she's like getting massage. There's a montage of her getting treatments, like one of which is just like her getting beaten with like a branch, like a bunch of leaves. Oh yeah. And then there's
that's how they do it in the Czech Republic.
I'm like, she like, she meets like Gunther, who's like the floor valet, who's like this very like,
so the entire staff is like in love with her. She's like, oh, they're all like, Miss Bird does this, so she's amazing. She lives life to the fullest, but Miss Gunther
doesn't buy it.
Is a very, very hard German woman or whatever. She's like super rude and not nice to her really at all. But she's like the valet or no, she like room service type person, cleans the room in between.
So much so that Queen Latifah is like ordering a bunch of like
she's
spa
gonna
treatments.
Find some dirt.
Yeah. And she's like, you know what, Gunther, I'll buy you a colon irrigation treatment because I think you could use something like that. And Gunther's like, oh, okay. And then like at the spa, she like, Miss Burns, the mistress, is like freaking out at a masseuse, like for like massaging her too hard. And Queen, like she's screaming at the masseuse, and Queen Latifah comes over and is like, hey, like that's no way to speak to like working people. Like, come on, like just because your like neck is like kinked from like going down on Mr. Craigan, like doesn't mean like she literally says that. And
she says it,
and all the masseuses are like,
oh yeah, she's just like, oh, it's because you go down on it too much, which is like like a really kind of, I was like, oh, this is an explicit way to say that for this what I thought was a family
especially
movie.
Because like anytime there's cursing, Queen Latifah's like, shut your, like she's like, stop swearing. Like she's very like a good like Christian person. So she's like letting loose in that regard too. And so that leads to like after the massages, like a little conversation between Queen Latifah and Miss Burns, like telling her like, hey, like I've seen these guys before. Like you should just like leave him because she's like, yeah, but he's gonna like leave his wife, and she's like, Queen Latifah's like,
and
no,
you find out like she works for the Craigan like company, the Craigan Corporation, and like this is a great job too. So
she didn't finish school.
Quit your job.
Yeah,
go back to school. Queen Latifah says, go back to school.
Yeah.
That's her.
And she's like,
advice.
it's not that. She's like, really. And she's like, yeah, that's like, it's as easy as that. Which like begins this another like cool theme to me, which is like her being like, it actually is that easy. Like now she has this perspective where like life is over. Like these people, the people around her, their lives are going to keep continuing. So it like allows Queen Latifah to like be really honest whenever she encounters people. So now she's got like this Miss Burns person kind of like under her spell as well. And Miss Burns like won't give up any information to Craigan. So that leads to Craigan going to Gunther and being like, I need some information on this woman, because like,
and I will say during this kind of montage of a lot of different scenes, there is a scene where she's in the spa like hot tub, and the Senator Billings, Giancarlo Esposito approaches her, and there's always this little weird thing where it's like, is he trying to hit on her? Like he's trying to like get with her in a way, and she's just like, there was a lot of people expecting you at the church, but you were here, you were living it up.
Yeah. So
so you're not representing our people very well.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like, and he's like, yeah, you should come to like visit me in Washington. And she's like, why don't you like, yeah, exactly. You come here and help. And so, yeah, at one point they have like, a conversation that is like very about like politics, about like, he's like, look, I got to please these people like Craigan and get donations so I can like get reelected. And she's like, look, like, I don't really have time for talk about like these like political things. Like it's,
yeah, you got to help the people.
Right.
Yeah.
The work
exactly
in your state.
So then Sean is like trying to figure things out. He gets this like prognosis. He learns about what Georgia's going through. So he goes to see her, but obviously she's not home. So she talks to Darius, who lives next door. And Darius immediately like recognizes him from the Possibilities book. And she's like, you're the Possibilities guy. Him. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He like gets out the Possibilities book, which like leads me to believe, because like I should mention, you do get a scene where she books the trip to the Czech Republic and she throws out her Possibilities book. But Darius just goes like, yeah, I found this in her trash. And I'm like, wait, what?
So he went digging.
Yeah. So he presents LL Cool J with the book and the like cutout photos, like a serial killer photos of him like pasted on top of a.
At that point, you'd think like, if I was like, God. Okay, maybe I'll let her die. This is not what This is a little creepy for me.
Yeah. Any questions so far, Lenka? I feel like I've just been talking at you about this movie and not letting you like poke holes, talk to me about it. Like I'm just
this is kind of how the podcast works.
Well, do you have anything you want to say, Alenka?
No, I'm excited for this debrief because this is so like this. I read recently this very interesting thing that has put my life into perspective. That's like, death doesn't give you a heads up. Death isn't like, hey, now you get the time to spend. Death's just like, hey, what's up? We're here. Let's go. So this movie's very hitting it, baby.
Mm-hmm. Especially like,
I hope you're not announcing any grim news, Alenka.
Oh gosh.
No, I'm not. I just read a book. Like, calm down.
Okay.
I know, especially in the year that we've been in, this movie,
That's right,
as they say, like hits differently. That's right. I had no doubts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well,
you just don't read subtitles in movies.
This one I had to have.
Yeah, that's right.
This one I had to have subtitles on because it was fun to hear them try and translate all the accents of the people who work at this hotel are just all over the place. Like,
I know, because when I was watching it with my partner Sam, she's like, no, they're in France, and I was like, no. They're in Czech Republic. He's like, why are they all speaking French then? And I was just like, no, some are speaking Czech, but some are definitely French. And then there's a German, Gunther. They're all over the place. I guess the Czech Republic is a very multicultural place.
Yeah, I feel some research could have been done in this department. But that's my one very little picky
dramaturgy. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I think what's next is this like second dinner in this like big grand poop ballroom, and
Grand poop.
She comes in again looking amazing, and at this point she's connected with like the senator and Miss Burns, and they're like, oh, you should come like join us at our table. And then the host or the person who works at the restaurant is like, oh, we have a very special table just for you that Chef Didier wants you to have. So Queen Latifah's like, why don't you guys come join me at my special table? And everyone goes but Craigan. Craigan's like sitting there like all grumpy. Like all his friends have been stolen and like charmed by Queen Latifah. And I don't know, like, can you imagine like if Queen Latifah enters your friend group, like, I could imagine like, yeah, if you had them under your spell up until this point, like maybe you'd be jealous, but you've got to like just go with it. Like you're like, just be like, yeah,
right.
I can't outdo this. Like
if
like,
Queen Latifah entered the group chat,
character?
It's her chat now.
Yeah.
What about her character though? Like makes this guy feel so attacked. Is that just his perception?
It is. I think, well, because part of the whole thing with the montage is that also he's very suspicious of her. He thinks a couple things like, is this a paid person from like the opposite government party? Is this, a representative of Walmart or Costco? Someone trying to like persuade the senator or congressman onto her side? Like, is this a person that's been sent here particularly to
sabotage
sabotage his efforts?
Yeah, he's just so suspicious, and it's just like, come on, man. So he finally like squeezes into the table, and Chef Didier comes over, and he's like, I've made a really special menu, and he's like, but no substitutions. And everyone has to be like, all right, no substitutions. Nice. And they have the best meal of their life. Like at the end, they're all like so happy that they like had dairy. There's like one good like throwaway line from Giancarlo Esposito earlier where he's like, yeah, I think I might get the like beurre without the blanc, like a beurre blanc sauce. Like, so I'll just get like no butter. That I thought was funny. But so they're talking, they're like basically all like kind of they're trying to learn about her. Like, how did she like build her wealth? And she's like, I basically just like clipped a whole bunch of coupons. And Craigan's like, by coupons, you mean bonds? And she's like, no, I sold all my bonds or whatever. We still don't know what bonds are, but like, that means she got all her. So they're all like, you sold all your bonds. Like, they're just like, they think she's like the most savvy, like person, like financial person. They're just like fascinating.
Rich person ever.
Right.
And then they're all like, well, what are you doing tomorrow, Georgia? And she's like, I think I'm going to go base jumping.
And they're like, oh, we should go watch. And Craigan's like,
do what? Sorry?
Like base jumping, like not skydiving, like parachute. What's it called?
Jumping from high places and then parachuting. Yes. Yeah.
So they're like, and they're like, oh, let's go watch. And Craigan's like, don't you guys remember? Like, I've set up a tour at the glass factory. We're going to be touring a glass factory. And they're like, no, let's go with Georgia. So immediately he's like, oh, man.
So not exciting.
There's a throwaway line of like glass factory.
Yeah,
like, it's so, it's like, why the fuck do they want to go there?
So Craigan's like, well, I'm not going to be watching. I'm going to jump with you. And they're all like, okay. So fast forward to them like about to jump off a dam. And
is this okay? Now, is this the GoldenEye dam?
I don't even know what that is, Will.
That
what?
The James Bond GoldenEye
dam? Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't know.
It looks kind of like it.
What is that?
Maybe not.
What are you talking about right now? What do you include me?
Yeah, I actually.
It's a scene from the movie GoldenEye, also the N64 video game GoldenEye. James Bond like jumps off a giant dam. Let me see. I don't think it is.
It could be, but
it's in Switzerland, so probably not.
Maybe not. I think they were literally on location in the Czech Republic for this.
Will.
But it looks very similar.
But I will say there's another one to add to the list. We're looking for, I guess, a new James Bond, Queen Latifah. I'm pitching it here on this podcast.
Yes.
That's the answer. And you watch this movie and you know she can do it from all the things that she does.
For queen and country.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So they're on this cliff. They're with this another guy who has another ambiguous accent. Maybe this is the most Czech person. I'm not sure actually, but he's like, we've lost a lot of people jumping off the dam.
Oh, yeah. This guy makes me either he's
definitely
either
not Czech.
Yeah,
So not Czech.
He's either high comedy or an actual base jump like instructor. It could be either or. It could be a guy who's like this guy's hilarious. Let's cast him. Or it's like this is an actual base instructor. Can I talk to you guys about
accents for a second?
Please. Yeah, let's do it.
One time in high school, my friends and I went to a tube park like in the snow time, and I was like, wow, wouldn't it be great if we all pretended we were from Europe just for laughs, and we all talked in accents to be so interesting? And they're like, yeah, I'm game. And the accents went from pretty good to like Irish or something. So I don't think we convinced anybody.
They always end up Irish. They always do.
Yeah. Basically.
But yeah, I back to theater school. Yeah, that was an exercise that they told us about all the time too. They were like, yeah, just do accents when you're at the store. And that, I never, I don't want to do that. But the
trick is pretend you're a different.
I don't want to do that.
Different nationality. Don't ever pretend you're a different ethnicity.
Right.
That's the line.
Right.
And this guy, like, yeah, it's a very silly part. This guy explaining how they're going to go base jumping. But anyways, so Craigan's like, ladies first. So Queen Latifah's forced to jump. She jumps. She crushes it. Just like, this is another thing that the movie puts into as well. Like she just like has like luck is on her side in this movie because she has decided to like go all in all these experiences. Luck supports her because she's like taking the plunge.
And she's always looking up and being like, oh, so now you do this for me, God. Like she's always kind of like looking up and either in thanking God, but also being like, now you're going to give me all this luck, but you're killing me sort of thing.
Yeah. So then it's Craigan's turn and he goes to jump and he can't do it. He's like, there's some trouble with my, I don't know, the equipment and the rigging. And like the senator and the congressman are like so far away on the other side of this dam. And he's like, there's trouble with my rigging. I can't do it. And they're like filming on like a little 2006 camcorder. And they're all like, they're like rolling their eyes at this guy at this point. And they're just like so smitten with like how impressive Queen Latifah is. So that's another way where like Queen Latifah, like point for Queen Latifah, no points for Craigan.
Right.
She like, the whole staff is talking about how impressed they are with her. She like goes on this like walk with Chef Didier, who they're like shopping for ingredients, and they're talking about like the secret to life. And they're
so
like, they're just like,
and it's at this point that Craigan bribes Miss Gunther to like investigate her, look up her, like look into her personal things, find a room, and she does so. She goes into her room, she searches through all these things.
That bitch could get fired.
Totally. But she doesn't care. She's Miss Gunther.
Okay.
And she like looks through her stuff, but she finds her like Craigan's department store ID. So she finds out, oh, this woman is not rich. She's just like a store clerk. Which then she's like, But then immediately she finds a letter that she's written that basically explains her diet, like basically explains that she's going to be dying. And if you're reading this letter, then she's dead.
It's so sad. She even says like, I want to be cremated because like I've spent my life in a box and I don't want to be buried in one. And like Gunther reads that and she's just like, oh man, like her like little icy like heart. Like at one point someone goes like, Miss Gunther, your heart has turned to ice because you're eating so much sauerkraut. And I'm like, okay, like the writers really had fun with this one. So she's like, oh man, I've been like a total like jerk to Queen Latifah, and like this is, and while she's been snooping, they're all at the casino, and like they've invited Queen Latifah, like the whole gang of the senator and all those people are like, come out with us, like come on. And
it's like a charity casino concert. There's a casino, and then Smokey Robinson is playing later on.
Yeah, great Smokey cameo.
There was a lot of cool stuff happening in the Czech Republic during this time.
Yeah, and it's sort of like in the in-between of Christmas and New Year's, which is like, this is we talked about how this is like, it isn't a Christmas movie, but like this is a great movie to watch from like December 26th to New Year's Eve, like in that realm where like you don't want a Christmas movie, but you want like snow. But in a time of a pandemic, this is a great movie any day of the week because it's just Queen Latifah
Sweet.
doing all the things that we cannot do right now.
Revitalizing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Queen Latifah, they're playing roulette. And of course, like I said, luck is on her side. Like she bets on 17 black and she wins. And so all the like the senator and the congressman like are like following where she goes. And she like bets on 17 black 3 times and successfully it lands on 17 black. And Craigan has like been like going on like red. And they're all Craigan's just like
purposely just like going the opposite, being like, no, she doesn't know everything. She's not cool. Not like me.
Yeah. So
you're such a little baby.
I know. Yeah. This is how I like to imagine that. Yeah. These like Elon Musk and like Jeff Bezos people are, that they're just so petty at this point.
They're just babies.
Which is another
So
great
Gunther,
like part of this is like, so I was
Go.
just going to say like talking about like CEOs and the 1%, like this is pre like Occupy Wall Street. Like this is
really
like,
is. Yeah.
You know, that's why this elevates this movie, I think, above the like rom-com, you know, thing is there's just, all of these themes. But yeah, go Will. What were you talking about, Gunther?
Oh, well, so Gunther comes back to Craigan and just says like, I have found nothing, take your tip back. But she drops a piece of information that she shouldn't have, but she does. She's like, how can you not know it? How can she be like doing all this? Like, how did you not find anything? She's like, well, you should know, she works for you. But then she walks away, gives the tip back.
Yeah. Which I'm like,
that's
Gunther,
that
you
piece of
like totally
information
like,
that-
you like that is now he can just like figure out who she is.
She didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a scene with Gunther.
Because she's not going by a fake name. She's going by her regular name.
Yeah. And then like, so then Gunther is like up in her hotel room when she gets home from the casino and it's like, oh, Miss Georgia, like you did so well. And Queen Latifah's like, why are you being so nice to me? And she like gives her like a hug and Gunther's like, please don't die. And like Queen Latifah's like,
oh God,
you went through my stuff. And she's like, yeah. And Queen Latifah actually like feels a bit better that like, oh, someone else knows her like secret or whatever.
Someone knows.
Yeah. And she
but then Gunther drops like the piece of information, the piece of like not knowledge, like advice, which is like, why you come all the way to the Czech Republic? Why are you here? Why
with these
aren't
awful
you
people
surrounded by the people? Yeah, with all these awful people, why aren't you surrounded by the people you love? And she's like, yeah, I've been thinking about that too.
So
you
then,
know?
so then it's the next day you find out is like New Year's Eve day, and Queen Latifah is in a cab on her way to the airport. She's going to go home. What we think is to like find Sean, but at the same time, Sean has flown to the Czech Republic and is on his way from the airport to the hotel by way of Darius and the Possibilities book and all of that. But there's been an avalanche that covers the road, and basically like Queen Latifah and LL Cool J are on opposite sides of this avalanche that has blocked the road. So Queen Latifah,
but they don't know it.
Exactly. And so Queen has to go back to the hotel. Now I'm calling her Queen at this point. We're in the second hour of the podcast and a couple glasses of wine in, and we're on a first name basis.
Do you think she goes by Queen? Do you think you like, hey, Queen? Like,
I would love that.
Like, what? I don't know what Queen
I
Latifah
want that for her
name,
so
and I don't want to
badly.
know. I don't want to know because I just want her to be Queen Latifah in my mind.
I know.
So.
I went on her Wikipedia page. I wish I
Imagine
hadn't,
her.
but I won't spoil that for you. I'll just keep that to myself. What her real name is.
That's just your secret.
Okay.
Yeah, your knowledge.
So she has to go back to the hotel, and Sean's just like, well, I guess I'm trekking through the snow to try and find the Grand Hotel poop. And
Oh wow.
So it's this,
and it's weird because it's like he literally is traversing mountains, and also like this is another thing I didn't like click in my mind right away. But is like obviously they live in New Orleans, Louisiana. They live in the South because in my mind I'm like, if I'm going on a last holiday, I'm not going to where there's snow. Just not. I'm not going to snowy places. But she lives in the South, like it's no snow, so it makes sense.
yeah, and it's like you see the avalanche, like it's clearly like taking up a huge amount of the road, but it looks like Sean decides not to like go over just the like blockade on the road and just get to the other side and then like call a cab from the other side, and because the road is open back to the hotel, which is where Queen Latifah like takes like they pull a U-turn, I guess, and go back. he like climbs mountains. Like he just like takes another route that he has no map. He's like,
well, I'm here. I want to experience the Czech mountains.
Might as well traverse this, 45-degree angle snow hill instead of the 20-degree. Like it's really, it makes no sense, but that's what rom-coms
He wants an experience here too.
It's true. Although he complains about the snow the whole time, so you could
and time is of the essence as well. Like he knows what the like we're supposed to imagine that like I think at this point we're like towards the end where like maybe Queen Latifah could like die at any point. So Queen Latifah's back at the hotel. Chef Didier is freaking out because like all his staff like couldn't get to the kitchen because of the avalanche. Like, so she is like, do you need some help? And he's like, it would be an honor. And they're like cooking together. It's like clearly a dream of hers. Yeah, it's so nice. There's a great scene that was like upon rewatch was like very touching where they're cooking and she's like, what are those? And he's like, it is the humble turnip. And she's like, really? This is a turnip? And Chef Didier is like, yes, the turnip is the self-made woman of the vegetable. And, she gets better as she cooks. It is not how you start, but how you finish. And he starts getting emotional and Queen Latifah is like, oh, so wow. He's like,
like the entire staff at this point knows that like she's gonna die because Gunther told them all because they all back in the kitchen back. Also, this is another thing. There was like a hotel valet like who is also in the kitchen as like a kitchen helper. I noticed like they play multiple roles. Yeah. I'm like, this is a really fucking.
I feel like when you work in a hotel, you put on a lot of hats.
I guess so, but you'd think with this like high class chef, it'd be other like.
Yeah, it's basically like the staff room chats.
Skilled workers.
Not this guy.
Yeah, so he's like he's so like again smitten by her, like just saying like he's inspired by her like appetite for life, and then they like cook this like feast for this this New Year's Eve party. I actually found out I did some like half-ass internet research, and Food Network cooked all this food. There's some like great food scenes, and they like just had like a Food Network team that like made all of this. Yeah, and I love watching Food Network. You mentioned in my intro there, Will, my like Guy Fieri in persona. So this also speaks to me because I just love food.
Yes.
Then they like come out and there's like she's like in a chef coat with Chef Didier and like everyone's there in this like big ballroom for this like New Year's Eve party and like announces Georgia like having like helped him cook this meal. And then there's also like this like great scene too of Queen Latifah looking at herself in the mirror like before she like she's gotten dressed to go down for New Year's Eve, and she's like looking at herself in the mirror and she's like, look at all these like amazing things that you've done and how lucky she's been. And she's saying that like next time around, she's like, I'm doing things differently. I'm like, I'm going to laugh more. I'm going to love more. Like, I'm not going to be afraid. And it's just like that scene really on this watch, like really touched me. Cause it's like,
I'm gonna cry.
I know. And like, that's what I think this like pandemic, some people have that experience too, where it's like, we, need to say the things to the people that we, want to say. We need to say the things we want to say to people. Now I'm drunk and just like, like being like, what we need to do.
But like very anti-Christian talking about reincarnation. But
oh yeah, well, I guess so. Hey, it's been 3 weeks. It's a long 3 weeks for her. She can do,
Yeah, she changed religions at that point. She's like, I'm going to be reincarnated. I'm not going to heaven.
So we, at this point, flash back to New Orleans to Dr. Gupta in the Craigan clinic at the department store. And he's put himself in the CAT scan machine. I don't know this cat. He's getting a CAT scan.
Okay.
And the scan comes out and it's the exact same as Georgia's. And he's like, mine is the same. We did on another person is the same. He's like, you see it on his face like, it's the machine. The machine is messed up and it's just giving everyone tumors. Which is just like,
because they bought a used CAT scan machine,
which leads me to believe like who sold them this, knowing it just the only result is
that
tumors.
Was dirt cheap.
Yeah, like that wasn't on the Kijiji.
It must have
ad.
been free.
Like.
But I like how you did drop when they go to the second opinion doctor. They don't get a new scan. They still use the old scans.
Right.
And he's just like, it is Lampington's.
So he goes to George's, Dr. Gupta goes to George's house. God. And like poor Darius, the neighbor, dealing with all these random men coming to George's door, like having to like explain these, like what George is up to. Darius carries a lot of the weight of this film in his like 3 minor scenes.
He's got a lot of emotional labor to get through.
And this leads me to the part that like why I love this movie is because when I was watching the trailer in that movie theater, when I leaned over to my dad, I'm like, I bet she doesn't die. And I thought I was just like, I like cracked the case. Which like,
wouldn't it be such a fucking sad movie if she just died at the end though? Come on.
Which leads me to believe like, and that's why I'm like,
but would it be?
Go ahead. Would it be what?
Well, would it be unexpected?
Like, did you think this is where this was going, Alinka? Because you haven't seen this, so.
No, I knew she'd live.
Right? You sort of know it, but you don't know how that's going to happen. But
although I forgot, so as I said, well, I didn't actually say it on air, but I have. This is the first time I really watched this movie. I thought I'd watched it before, but I didn't really. I thought that that fucking Craigan at some point at the end, Craigan was gonna pay for her treatment. You know, like it was gonna be like, oh, let's redeem the billionaire. But that's not what happens. I
know. I was thinking about that because I've seen this a million times. Like, yeah, what is that? I'm sorry if just like, yeah, Alenka, you won't have that now when you watch it for the first time. But like, what is that experience of like for an hour and like, I think it's like an hour and 20 minutes or so. You think she's like going to die this entire time. Yeah. Because now when I rewatch it, I know she's going to live. Right. So I'm just like, yeah, go snowboarding. But
do it.
Yeah.
I hope you don't die
Fuck
snowboarding.
Your family. Yeah. Oh, we never mentioned at all, but she does have a sister. She's not void of family. She has a sister who apparently like
she just hasn't told anyone or what?
She tries to tell her sister, but then her sister
haven't.
Yeah, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Just haven't been looking at this movie super analytically because it just seems like such a warm. I want us to have a track that's been edited about how many times I went, oh, like, you know what I mean? I've been hoodwinked.
I know.
Yes. Yeah. You've been queen winked. Yeah.
Queen winked.
Yeah. That coin that. That's great. I think, right. Like why be analytic? Like there's like, just I'm going to take it at surface up. But she does try and tell her sister, but her sister's like, look, can you take care of my kids? Because like I'm about to go to Nashville and try and be a country singer. And then her like little kids like they like one like makes a mess or something. And she's like, I got to call you back. And then we just never, like Queen Latifah just like never calls her sister back.
Never see her again. Yeah.
So she's just like was deterred very easily from telling her family anything. But can you imagine if your sibling was just like.
She didn't have the time.
Yeah. Yeah, they really.
Your sister died in the Czech Republic from a very rare disease in the presidential suite of the most expensive hotel. She couldn't actually pay for all of it, so you need to pay for the rest of it.
Yeah, right. And for all we know, her sister could have become like a fantastic country like singer and like paid for this like operation herself. But
exactly, yeah,
that will remain unknown. That's a possible. So after this like beautiful speech into the mirror, Queen Latifah like comes down to join them for like New Year's Eve dinner, and they're like toasting, and then Craigan stands up and is like, I think like, you know, we've all been wondering like who this like Georgia bird is, and I finally have found out, and she is a sales clerk in my New Orleans store. And they're all like, what? Like that can't be true. And she's like, it is. And Chef Didier comes over and is like, you don't owe these people anything. And she's like, no, it's okay. I'll tell it all. And she explains, and because basically Craigan's like, look, you've been telling us all how to live our lives like for this last week, like, and we thought you were a somebody, and that's the only reason we listened to you. And she's like, look, I didn't want to give anyone the wrong idea. She's like, I didn't think I would be, around.
And she never lied. She said she couponed. She said she just worked her whole life. She, was killing it. She never once said that she was a fucking multimillionaire. She just said that she worked for it.
Exactly. Yeah. They filled in those blanks for themselves. And she goes like, look, like, I'm sorry if like I, was too honest. She's like, I wasted too much time being quiet. And I thought that was a really great line too. And she, she's like, you hustle and you hustle, and, you wake up one day and you're like, how did I get here? And all of them like kind of, except for Craigan, obviously, is kind of like, oh, I did not expect this in terms of this news, because that she was like supposed to die. Like they're all kind of like shocked.
Yeah.
And
because then he's like, oh, I'm an asshole, aren't I?
Yeah,
Right.
like literally that. Like this is where that congressman's wife gets her one line, her one moment to shine. Because after Queen Latifah's like, look, I'm sorry, like Happy New Year, she like leaves, and the congressman's wife gets her one line. She's like, asshole. And the congressman's like, yes, honey, you're right.
Yes.
Good line, honey. And then the senator gets up to leave, and Miss Burns gets up to
Well
leave. And she's
done.
like, yeah, he's like, where the hell are you going? And she's like, look, I'm going to go and talk to Georgia. And after that, I'm going to help your wife leave you and find out, I'm going to make sure that she gets half of everything you own by going to business school. Cause that's how that works.
Yeah.
Craigan is
so,
Right.
so George is like up in her room. I think she's like packing or she's like getting ready to go to
so
bed.
New Year's happens and Craigan's like by himself, which is, I'm going to crack my Czech beer as like New Year's Eve has happened in,
Yes.
There you go.
in the Czech Republic, and he's by himself and he just starts drinking.
I've just been drinking all three throughout this whole recording.
That's
so
smart. Yeah.
carry
I've just
on.
been doing the wine. I've just been Chef DDing it up, but
Yeah. So, but she's in her room and there's like a knock on her door or something. And it's the one of the valets, like one of the younger valets, one of the main valets that we see in the movie. And he's like, oh, it's Mr. Craigan, or like what?
Oh yeah.
He says,
because Miss Burns, I guess, goes to talk to Georgia, and then the bellhop is like, look, like I need, like there's something's happening, and Miss Burns is like, what? Did Craigan jump off a roof? And she's like, he's about to. He's on the ledge, and they're like, what? And then they like go up to the roof.
Oh
And
God.
at the same time, a fax comes in. It's 2006. Remember, we're still in the days of faxes. So Dr.
Fax
Gupta
machines.
on New Year's Eve sends a fax to the Grand Hotel
God.
Poop, courtesy of Darius, I guess, letting him know where she is. Which Darius is just getting this off of the
inspiration
book.
board. Like they're
Yeah.
just
The
like,
possibilities.
yeah.
So
He said inspiration board like it's Pinterest. This is pre-Pinterest.
correct. Yeah. I
Right.
think Georgia invented Pinterest. She could have become a millionaire just for inventing Pinterest.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Or like a way ahead. I don't
Millionaire.
know when Oprah came up with the like vision board, but Georgia Bird is crushing it. So a fax comes in, but it's classic movie, like fax comes in and like the fax is right, like the output is right over a shelf. So it just falls on the floor behind the front desk. And I will say, like, Alenka, your ancestors, your people, they know how to make a great beer. I've never had a Czech beer before. This is great.
Pilsner, I know. Oh man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know
the most
Pilsner's
flavorful,
there.
like and light. Yeah.
This is
Those
delicious.
both are in
When I was in the Czech
Miloš's,
Republic, I
beer-
just drank
fridge.
this beer like every day. And they're like, they're like dollar beers over there, like legit dollar beers.
Yeah.
It's great. And this one I'm drinking is called
Super.
Czech Var. And underneath it says Be Original.
Czech bar.
Czechvar.
Be Original, which is also ties into
The original.
Queen Latifah isn't an
Exactly.
original.
Yes.
She invented Czechvar. Yeah.
Great. So Craigan's on the ledge. It's basically like a ledge, Alenka, like to paint you a picture here. It's like you can sit on the ledge of like his window,
Mhm.
basically. And so Georgia comes out and she's
Safe.
like, Yeah, exactly. George is like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, oh, like, I don't know. He's like, it's obvious I'm a jerk. And George is like sitting with him and she's like, look, like, you have all the time and all the money in the world to turn this around for yourself. So you should do just that. And down at the bottom, like people are gathered, like the congressman and the senator are like, what the heck's going on? Like, is Craigan going to jump? Miss Burns is like screaming her 2 cents out the window. She's like, you couldn't even jump off the dam. You're going to jump off like off the building. And George is like, oh, that's not helping. So she's on the roof. And then she's Craigan's, she's like giving Craigan advice, right? Will, like, what is she saying to him? She's like,
oh yeah, she's like, you got to get your pasty ass face off your own magazines. Like, you have your own magazine. Don't put yourself on the cover. Like, just like all these things, you got to pay people more. Basically, just like giving all the advice I think everyone would love to give billionaires.
Yeah. And he's like, damn, like, I can't believe like you were working for me this whole time. And she's like, well, I had bigger dreams than that. Like, and he's like, really? What were you going to do? And she's like, I was going to open up like a restaurant and like have a husband and a family and all this stuff. And he's like, oh, like, do you have a boyfriend? And she's like, well, because at this point, like, let's remember, like, she hasn't even gone on a date with LL Cool J. It's just been like this like work romance. And like, it's very sweet. I don't know. I've never had a work romance before, but it's just like the pinnacle, like what you can aspire to, but they still haven't gone on a date. So she's like, yeah, there was this guy, Sean, back in New Orleans. And then you just hear Georgia. It's LL Cool J's voice, like screaming from down below. And but Georgia thinks like she's like hearing things, like she's like dying, like
her tumor is getting worse. Yeah.
She's like, oh my God, like he's like, it's happening. She's like about to die. And like Craigan's like, oh no, like there's someone down there. And it's LL Cool J, like, it's me. And like Queen Latifah is obviously like, what the heck's going on? And so Sean ends up coming and joining on the roof. The bellhop he walks into the hotel and like the bellhop's like, you're looking for Georgia. And he's like, how'd you know? Like at this point, like Georgia's been there for a week and like everyone knows like who she is and like everything about her. And so Sean ends up.
You better follow me, sir.
Yeah. So Sean ends up on the roof. So now there are 3 people like on this ledge. And
Good God,
this is like, where we get the rom-comness, like it's kind of bookmarked, right? Like where
he's just like, I don't care. He's like, I don't care if it's, if it's 5 days or 50 years or whatever, like 50 million years with you. I want to be with you forever.
Which is really sweet. Okay. I'm all at the back of my mind after like 16
from a
watches.
Barbecue.
Exactly. Yeah. Like all it took was like her to make, like she made him, like they had like a few conversations at work, and what else? She made him a crostini, and they're in love. Nice. And he wants to be with her, and they kiss, and Craigan's like, I like this guy, which is
all it takes.
Which like, shut up. And then
we don't care.
I guess Gunther was down in the lobby, and she sees the fax on the floor, and she runs up, and she goes out onto the ledge, and she's like, oh my God, Miss Bird. Like, I have a note here from Dr. Gupta. You got a faulty dog scan. You're going to live. And she's like, be it like no questions asked. She's like, oh my God. Like, she's like, believes it as true. She's going to live. And she asked LL Cool J, like, did you really mean what you were saying about like being with me for like 5 minutes or 50 years? And he's like, yes, 1,000,000 years. And they like, they're like, they kiss, and, they're like, let's get off this ledge.
Craigan decides not to kill himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And she like looks up at the heavens, and she's like, you had me going there for a second. And yeah. And then, I guess, then it cuts to,
and it's the ending scene. It's the ending scene is we're back in Louisiana, and Georgia, it's the opening night of her restaurant, Georgia's Joint, the name of our drink.
I thought that she was going to have cancer and that she was going to be smoking joints.
No, that's not what it is.
No, that's like a 2021 version where she it's a Netflix series where she starts a small marijuana business and that's like that the Netflix series.
Sure. Yeah.
But
like Chef Didier shows up, and then Emeril Lagasse. How do you say his name?
Emeril Lagasse. Yeah. Oh, and here's back to that wine motif. Like Georgia's cooking, and she pours a whole bunch of wine in, so it mirrors that beginning of her putting in the little smallest amount, and now she's bam, she puts it in. And she goes out, and the mayor of New Orleans is there, and everyone, all Darius is there, of course, because Darius, we need to give Darius credit. He's the puppet master of this whole thing. Her coworkers,
the doctor shows up, and he's like, "I quit my job."
Yeah, Queen Latifah's like, "You never should have had that
Wait,
job."
What?
I love that sideline.
Yeah. Dr. Gupta comes. He's like, "I quit my job," and then Emeril Lagasse's there, and it's just there's this great it ends on her being embraced by LL Cool J and looking up at the heavens and winking, and then there's a little I think this movie invented the post-credit sequence too, maybe, I don't know, step aside Avengers, because then you get a shot of the possibilities book, and she puts, with her little label maker, she puts realities, and then we get snapshots of all what happened to all the characters.
What happened to everyone else. But okay, maybe it was just the Netflix and the subtitles, but there was no text on top of these.
Okay, so this is what I'm here for, because I've seen this whether it's been on the W Network or wherever. I've seen this movie a bunch of times, so I know what the subtitles are. But I feel maybe I would like to present a little game for Alenka. What would you think the reality, what did all these characters do after having met Georgia? What do you think happened to all of them? Is this, I don't know, I'm messing with your form.
All of
Is
them?
this worthwhile? Not all of them. I'll throw them out to you.
Let's name the characters. Okay, so Allison.
Okay.
Sorry, Allison Burns, Mrs. Burns.
So she's the mistress who decides to leave Craigan. What does she do?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Miss Gunther. Sorry, I'll just name the Miss Gunther, Dr. Goomba, and Matthew Craigan, Mr. Craigan.
Yes.
Okay, our mistress, she creates the first female disbanding millionaires' wives' society, and she made a book club, and that's what they do. Who is next? Gunther?
Yeah, Gunther.
Gunther moves back to Germany. She has 5 kids, and her daughters all have some other kids, and she's just hanging out with her fam in Germany. Doing that. Who else do we have?
Craigan and Dr. Gupta.
Oh, Craigan. Dr. Goomba. He
it's Dr.
quit
Goomba.
His medical license.
Dr. Goomba is he's
Goomba.
some Sopranos side character. Dr. Goomba.
Dr. Goomba.
Okay.
Moved to Mario Land and operates now only on people of his own kind. And lastly, this millionaire, he sold half his company to the workers, we'll say. And the other half, he let his now divorced wife own. And they're doing really well. He has decided to be a missionary, and he only does work now for the people.
Wow, interesting. Okay, do you want to know what the real realities are that they provide us with at the end of the movie?
Yeah, obviously. Okay. Thanks for indulging me, guys.
No, great. Good. I think that's a credit to Will and I's describing of this movie, that we set up these characters and what they would be. So that was very good. So, yeah. Okay. So,
nice.
With, who's the first one? Oh, Miss Burns. So she,
Miss Burns
helps,
yes.
Craigan's wife divorce him is what we're led to believe. And then there's a shot of her and the woman who she yelled at the like spa. She like gets her degree in like masseuse or like spa management.
Business school. Yeah. Like sort of thing.
And she like starts running spas. So that's her reality. Yeah. And then the next is Gunther. She does. I don't know if she stays in the Czech Republic or she goes back to Germany, but she does open up her own private investigating business, and that's what she goes into because she was so good at snooping.
Because she's so snoopy.
That.
Yeah. She just becomes a business owner, so she like really champions that. That's great. And then who's next? Dr. Gupta quits his. We know he quit his job, but he goes. Yeah, Goomba. He goes like I guess I don't know. To like Tibet or somewhere and becomes like a monk. And then you were sort of onto it when you were talking about Craigan. Craigan, I guess, I mean, he loses a lot of his money through his divorce, but then he also goes and he joins Dr. Gupta and he also like becomes like a monk. So there's a shot in the scrapbook of them sitting side by side, like meditating, bald.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Together. And then
interesting.
Yeah, so you were right on like of him like getting rid of his business. And then we get a final shot of like what happens to Georgia and she ends up like with LL Cool J and they like get married skydiving. So there's a little shot of them like in like white and black like attire skydiving getting married. And I think it ends like the line they cut off on Netflix for some reason, but it ends with like them being like Georgia like lived life to the fullest, which goes back to what you were saying about YOLO and, you know, you know,
fucking YOLO.
But that's the movie. That's the end of
Last Holiday.
That is
what did you think of that holiday? Yeah.
Oh my God. One, I've got so much envy for people that are traveling. Two, how inspiring, truly, as like goofy as it sounds like it kind of is. It's just, I think people take that idea for granted so often. Like, you know, we do what society tells us we're supposed to do, which is work all the time to do what, you know, and then you spend all your energy doing that. And then you don't have the energy for the other stuff you want to do. So it's very refreshing. And I feel like there's a lot of movies like this, but it's just always so freaking nice to have that reiteration of like, hey, there's so much more out there.
Yeah, and that we put so much attention to the stuff that's worthless. Yeah. Good. Yay.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I could go off for another like whole podcast episode about all these concepts. I'm really lessons. Into it right now.
Yeah. I know, we really went into like scene by scene.
One of those people.
Oh, yeah. That's what this podcast is all about.
No, it really is. So well done. Proud of you. That was fantastic. And I'm straight up watching it on Netflix after. I've said that a couple times. I have watched a couple movies. This is one that it doesn't seem too like heavy for me. I feel like I've said that for heavier shows too, or movies or whatever. And I'm like, oh yes, I want to watch it. It's interesting, but I also am kind of tired. What if I fall asleep? Meh, meh, meh. Even though I already know the plot, this one's going to be, I'm ready. I'm going to make popcorn.
And like, it's like
get some more beer.
Yeah. It's like hidden, like, you know what I mean? Like it's hidden gem. Like it's not like the big movies like Casablanca where it's like where people, you know, you tell people you haven't seen that movie and people are like, you haven't seen that movie? Like now you can be part of a smaller club of the people who have seen Last Holiday.
The royal subjects.
The loyal royal subjects of Queen Latifah. And
I'm so interested. Is this really not that well known?
I have no concept.
It is and it isn't. I don't know. Like, I feel like it is well known, but it's not. Like, I feel like it is on people's holiday lists for movies. It's not really that much of a holiday movie, other than that it's called Last Holiday and it happens between Christmas and New Year's, but there's no Christmas themes to it at all. But yeah, I feel like I definitely have heard of it, but this is honestly the first time I watched it because it was never on my holiday movie list. So I don't know.
And now you can add it to that, like in between, like Christmas is over. You've watched all those movies and now you're in that in between. This is a New Year's Eve movie. Like, tell me another New Year's Eve movie that exists. And by
When Harry Met Sally.
okay, fine.
Right.
But you're right. But
Okay, but
also,
this is
like,
a great one for setting a year of intentional living, you know?
Very true. Very true.
absolutely.
Well, on that note, Alenka, I'm gonna stick with the stands on this one. How many Queen Latifahs do you give this movie?
Oh my god, I give this like I just won the Lotto Max fucking of Queen Latifahs on this movie.
Good.
So
Yes.
if that's a number, I think we're at like a 30 mil.
30 million Queen Latifahs. Yes.
Yes. Or
I
what
think
I would
this
say
movie's
is
ridiculous.
like she wins $100,000 when she does the like at the roulette table. So we don't know how much she's spent on this last holiday, but I mean, she gets to go home and start her own business. So she like profits out on this like whole excursion.
Yeah, she takes the winnings, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I thought. Because I thought it was a charity casino, so I was like, she doesn't get those winnings, does she?
Oh, that's she must, because that is a sadder movie, right? Where she spends all her money and then she finds out she's going to live and then she's like dead broke.
Yeah, and she's in fucking debt.
Yeah.
So I never really thought about that, but yeah, the $100,000 that she wins definitely like she gets to go back and like be at par, I guess, for what she was when she left.
Yeah.
So,
True.
Right.
Thank you for coming on tonight. It's been wonderful.
Yes, thank you.
my pleasure. I mean, I think I knew that eventually I would talk about this movie in a public forum. I, like when I saw it on the list, I want to stand by this. Like, there's some like debate whether I brought this movie into the list or whether it existed on the list. And regardless of that, I think it should be on par with, I keep saying the same movies, Titanic and like Casablanca and like The Matrix that you guys have done. I hope I've made the case for why this movie should be on a list amongst these big movies of, you haven't seen this? So if I could have done that, I'm happy.
Right.
And to this be my first podcast experience, I'm honored, and it was a privilege to get to talk about this. So
if our listeners want to, follow you, maybe check out some other things you got going on, where can they do that? And what else do you got going on? Yeah.
So you can certainly follow me on Instagram at Sebastian Biasucci. I think it's Sebastian.Biasucci. So Biasucci, and then Sebastian the Crab is my first name, spelled exactly like that. And what am I doing right now? I mean, I'm producing theater. I'm working with some exciting companies like Emergence Theater and the Assembly Theater. So give them a follow too and look out for what we're doing.
Sweet.
I've been doing this show and creating this like this ever evolving thing where I play Guy Fieri, the Food Network chef, and explore what his life would be in quarantine. So if you go to the Assembly YouTube channel, you can see me being Guy Fieri in quarantine in my kitchen, and look out for what I'll be doing as Guy Fieri in the future. But maybe I should just change gears and model myself more after some of the I should be emulating Chef Didier and Chef Georgia Bird. Forget Guy Fieri. These are my new inspos.
It's much more niche.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
You should open up the first Toronto chapter of Her Royal Subjects Queen Latifah Stands. So
yeah, and like if you're a Queen Latifah stan, like let's chat and let's get this like I feel like I'm in a vacuum here by myself talking about these things. Like if you're feeling the same way, like let's talk about it. And I don't know, I'll plug I think The Equalizer is on Sunday nights. Like I'm in no way affiliated with that show, but it's on TV and it's outrageous. Like if I could talk about it for 1 second, you can cut this out, Will, but she's basically posted on Facebook or some forum as this character, the Equalizer, solving problems. She's like doing the work that the police can't. And it's pretty badass. Like there's one episode where she fights someone just with a clipboard. So I like to think that maybe this is like what Georgia Bird went on to do. Like she became also like a vigilante.
Exactly.
And it's just a continuation of that. So watch The Equalizer Sunday nights at, I don't know what time it's on, but.
And while you're listening to this and while you're watching Equalizer Sunday nights on whatever network it's on, you might pull out your phone and you want to follow Haven't Seen a Podcast.
Yes.
You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Haven't Seen a Podcast, and on Twitter at haven't_seen_it. And you can pop on over to our website. All our episodes are there. Big list of movies, which may or may not have Last Holiday on it. That's to be determined. But it will have it on after this episode, obviously. And go to iTunes, leave us a review, rate us. Those are helpful. Tell us if you're a Queen Latifah stan. Put it in your review after this episode, please. I want to know.
And if you are, I'll see you outside of Roy Thompson Hall at the next Queen Latifah Toronto International Film Festival premiere. And we'll meet her for sure.
She's in the Equalizer movie from the television show movie, not the reboot of the old movie, but the television show movie.
Correct. Great.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you guys, I think today's sign off is pretty fucking obvious. Life is short. Live it up. Stay tuned for the awe track that Will is definitely going to edit. Okay, bye.